Welcome to Trading Lounge and the European indices. We're going to be covering the DAX and the FTSE. Starting with the DAX here, we were looking at a low being in place. We were looking from wave 4 here down to wave 5 here as a low being in place. I think we just have a bit of a look at the bigger picture while we're here. I've got this here as a wave 2 low here, and I'm not quite sure that we're even in a low, because in the US markets we're looking at this particular pattern here. Okay, there's a couple of things we need to talk about. So this particular pattern just here, if we look at the S&P 500 for a moment, just maybe on the 4-hour chart as well. So with this market here, the S&P, this particular pattern that we're looking at, which is pretty much all, going through all the markets at the moment, this move up here is in 3 waves. I suppose we could look at it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, but then wave 4 overlaps the top of wave 1 here. So we've labelled it an A wave, then an A and a B and a C here, and it hasn't made a new low here like it has in Europe. So we're looking for a wave C here in 5 waves to come back up to these tops here and then roll over from that point. So this particular pattern here, we need to keep a bit of an eye on it really, because it's the same as this pattern here, the low here. We've made a new low here, but in the other markets we're looking for just a move up in 5 waves, so that it can possibly move down. Because if I've got it as wave 2 low in here, that means that we will have 5 waves up here, then a pullback in ABC, and then we'll continue to move up through this. So we're going to monitor that. And we are long here at the moment, here in the FTSE and so on. So we'll get to that. But this wave E here I find quite interesting as well here, because if I look at this chart here, which is the, if I just bring that down a bit here, we've got, it's the iShares, it's the DJ Stock Global Selection of Dividends of 100 companies. So basically what it means is that they've selected what they consider to be the top 100 stocks in the US and Europe and so on. So for dividend yields, So, but if I look at this chart here, it's a daily chart, and I go back to 2016 here, then that will be 2015 high, the high of the DAX there. In this case here, we have got a triangle moving across here, because we can count this down as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave for wave A. We can look at this as an A and a B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the C of B, and then an A and a B and a C here. That might be able to be counted a bit differently with the A wave over here as well, but still it still leaves us with 3 waves here. And then currently we've got this A, B, C here. So, so there's a good case for a triangle pattern here. And then this here would also lead to, this A, B, C here for the D wave is fine. We have got 3 waves down here, by the way, too. So that means we can put wave E in here, and that could be the end of the 4th wave. So wave 3 over here, a triangle pattern here, all the way over here for wave 4, and then moving up. This wave E here might get a bit more complicated, and this is the same for the DAX too, and we'll look at that in a moment. So we may end up getting 3 waves up to the 61.8% mark, and then another 5 waves down here to finish the E off here. I don't know about that, but we do have that ABC here already. So this is partly why we're trading long as well. So we'll need to be cautious there, but so it's possible that we're coming to the end of a long triangle pattern through here. So if we go to 2016 and 2015 roughly here on the DAX and look at it, it will be completely different, but it does fit. And the interesting thing, if we go to the DAX, let's go to the monthly chart here. We'll just simplify it for a little bit. So yeah, we're looking at that triangle pattern here. So it's possible that this move down here where we've got wave 4 and wave 5 here of wave 3 here, and then an A, B, C pattern here for wave 4, and then up for 1 and back for 2 that I was looking at. It's quite possible that all of this over here, not that it makes a lot of difference by the way, but it is a better fit, I have to say. So down here for wave A here, whoopsie daisy, so wave A here, and then all the way up here for wave B, and that actually fits quite nicely here because we can go an A wave and a B wave here, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So it can be counted in 3 waves quite nicely, and then of course we can count this as 3 waves, and we can count this as 3 waves up here, because I always struggled with this particular pattern here. And also this one here we've been struggling with, but when we look at it in terms of a triangle pattern, it fits quite nicely. So an A wave here, a B wave up here, C wave down here, D wave here, and then into the E wave here, and then once this finishes here, there might be get a little bit messier, but once that finishes, then we'll see the final leg to push to the upside there. Anyway, I'll just keep working on it, and yeah, we'll see. But anyway, back to making money, back to the 4-hour chart, then we'll move in. So this is where we are here at the moment, so we'll just go to the hourly chart here, and we talked about on Friday, we talked about taking a long trade, well, half a trade, that's why there's a thin line here, thick line here, because a safer trade would be once the 11,500, the resistance, develops as support. It needs to migrate from being resistance over this side and then eventually getting over here. We'll look at that in more detail. But for the keen traders, it was possible to take half a position here, then a full position here, and then we can look up for this. So this move here could be counted wave 3 a bit higher, wave 4 here. Do we have a wave 5? We do. How's that for being organised? I'm just pointing. This is basically what we're doing on the US markets and some of the other markets, counting 1 and 2 here, and all of this is a third wave here and a fourth wave and a fifth wave here. So this is also to this box here is the 61.8%. So we looked at that as a possible area for consolidation, but I know that don't even need that now. This level here, 11,500, we're talking trading levels now, the trading levels method or concept or idea. The 11,500 is a medium level. It's an unusual number, but it always plays out really well, as you can see in this little area here. In stocks it'd be $11.50, halfway between 10 and 13, two Fibonacci numbers. So the next number's up after 5 here from 11,000. We've got 1, 2, 3, then we'll go to 5 here, and then the next number after 5 is 8, but halfway between 5 and 8 is the 11,650. So it's also an important number here as well. So expect to see, put that line on your chart and expect to see some type of corrective pattern across there. In terms of corrective patterns, we've got the classic trading levels pattern and the variation on that and the overshoot pattern. So there's really just 3 basic patterns that can occur there. So just coming into the tick chart now. Let's just go back a little bit. I need to go back. There we go. So, okay, good. So this possible low area here that we looked at, and we also looked at going long in here somewhere as well, somewhere in here. But we could count 5 waves up here of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for wave 1. Wave 2 is a bit dodgy here. Well, it's actually quite big. So one thing that we can take away from that, I mean, it's big, it's small, how long's the piece of string, but it's big compared to wave 1. Do you know what I mean? It spent more time. So wave 2 really normally is simple and wave 4 is normally complex. But in this case, we will probably find wave 4 up here being quite simple. Okay, so that prepares us for that. In terms of the count moving to the upside, we can look at, so basically from 2 all the way up to 3 here, we need to find 5 waves within this structure. So we've got 1 here and 2 here and 3 here and 4 here and 5 here for wave 3. Then there'll be the wave 4 and then up for the wave 5. So we're looking, let's just have a look over here. Right, so 11.8 is going to be our target area. So at this stage, we can look to take part profit or take all profit at this stage with that. We'll look at it a bit closely when we get there. So just have a target sitting there is good. And for this scenario here, we've got, well, wave 1 here coming off from wave 2, then we've got 5 waves down here for the A wave, 3 for the B wave here, and then I'm looking at, I mean, we could possibly look at this as wave 1 on this high here. I need to check the cash market for that. Wave 2 here, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for wave 1 and 2, and there'll be 1 and 2. This is, the gaps occur in wave 3s mostly. So we've got, well, here we've got wave 2 here, wave 2 here, wave 2 here, and then there'll also be a little 1 and 2 in here. I'll have to sort through all of that, but there may be 2 sets of 1s and 2s in there. That wouldn't surprise me. And then 1 and 2 here. So it's really the third of the third of the third of the third and probably the third there. So, but yeah, so, but we're in a very powerful point of the wave structure here as well, but still 11,650 should see a pattern where it becomes resistance to coming support. That's what you need to look for, and then you use the highs here to go long on. But in this case here, I mean, you may have gone long here, but still the stop would have been under here at that point. And then if you've gone long, stop just keeping it under the low all the time. I like to keep it under the level anyway, but and also just bring this down here as well. So even if you've got that up there, you can still, like, you know, if you're trading up here, if you're waiting for this one first, or you even went long here, you can probably got a second position here and a third position here. That's all fine for me. You just keep the stop out of the way and keep building into that position, because you want to build your trades into the beginning of the trend, and then, you know, you don't want to be, this is really the middle, this gap here, that would be the middle of the whole trend to the upside. Think about that for a moment. So from here we've got 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and then right here's the center of the trend. So what we've got from this point onwards here is we've got the beginning of the trend, this is the middle of the trend, and then the rest of it will be the all 3s and 4s of the ending of the trend, so to speak. So this is where you want to be building into it, and this is where you want to be sort of soaking it up and setting up targets. We could also go long here onto the 11,650. Yeah, we're still a bit, we're away from the tops. This is where we're heading up here. We could go higher, but we'll just count the waves as we go up there. So the FTSE is going to be exactly the same. So when we look at the FTSE, don't need to go into a lot of detail here, but it's the same thing here as well. In fact, we can move the stop up here to break even at this point. We'll just put it just above break even here. We better do that for the DAX as well. So really we're looking, there's a couple of things here we need to look at. First of all, this box is where it's going to stall, so at the 72 area here. But if it finds a 72 as support, then we can look to go up into these areas up here. It's lagging. It needs to catch up to the rest of the markets. I need to go back to the DAX and just adjust this stop here now. So I'll just move that putting it in here, because the market shouldn't come back to that point now, so we're safe in there. So we didn't have that trade there, so I can move that. I think it was here, and it was just a thin one, so something like that. So alrighty, yeah, like I say, you can add again after the correction 11,650 if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it as it is for this point here, this stage. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in, and thank you for your support. Cheers.